According to Stephen A. Smith, Damian Lillard is interested in a trade to the New York Knicks if a trade does come to fruition. That's what we're getting into on today's show. But first, let's gauge how the audience is feeling. If you want the Knicks to trade for Damian Lillard, one of the best sharpshooters in the history of the NBA, hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and let's start today's show. Welcome into New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. A juicy show coming your way, all centering around Damian Lillard and the current dysfunction going on within the Portland Trailblazers organization. Let's first set the foundation and get you caught up with what's happening with the Trailblazers right now. Off to a bad start, 11-14 on the year. They fired their general manager, Neil Olshey, after he was looked into for investigation into alleged workplace misconduct. And these rumors about Damian Lillard potentially getting dealt, CJ McCollum as well, have been festering for a long time. But we've kind of talked about it here on the channel. It all came down to how the Trailblazers started the 2021-2022 NBA season. If they got off to a slow start, I had voiced my opinions that, yeah, they might look to rebuild because it doesn't really make any sense to hold on to two players in Dame and CJ McCollum where there's a sample size of that 1-2 punch not really working out. And if they got off to a bad start this year, maybe they would decide to hit the reset button. Now, Damian Lillard isn't happy with the current dysfunction going on within the Portland Trailblazers organization. He wasn't happy at the time with the move to hire Chauncey Billups as head coach, and that goes into a lot of Damian Lillard's frustrations, in addition to the front office really not surrounding him with a good supporting cast that allowed the Trailblazers to make deep runs into the playoffs. So Lillard has been bothered for quite some time now. He is also injured right now, which hasn't helped him in terms of his statistics. He's off to one of the worst starts that he's ever had in his career, an abdominal injury that dates back to the Olympics over the summer. His numbers have suffered because of that, and going back to that coaching search, he had wanted Mike D'Antoni or Jason Kidd to be the head man for this Blazers franchise. Instead, Neil Olshey hired Chauncey Billups instead, but now Neil has been fired. So if a trade does happen, especially if it happens to the New York Knicks, we have you covered right here on New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. We launched this channel over the summer. Already we're north of 3,000 subscribers. We are growing like crazy, and we're keeping you up to date with everything going on with this basketball team. So if you want more videos like this, hit that red subscribe button down below, or in a separate browser, go to youtube.com/KnicksTV. Off the top of the show, I had mentioned Stephen A. Smith reporting that if Dame were to request a trade, the New York Knicks would be atop his list. Here's what Stephen A. Smith had to say on ESPN. Quote, if Damian Lillard doesn't want to stay in Portland, and he does want to stay in Portland, by the way, if you talk to him, his whole thing is, I want to be here, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to retire. The only thing that would really tickle him and make him entertain wanting to leave Portland, believe it or not, is going to the New York Knicks. There are people in his camp that would like to convince him to give Philadelphia a stronger consideration. But when he thinks about the New York Knicks, he thinks about going to the top market in the country. He thinks about, obviously, marketability. And in the Pacific Northwest, you don't get a bunch of marketability. And I think Damian Lillard, if he goes to the Mecca, New York City, market number one, he goes from being a nationwide superstar to a global superstar. That is really the attraction with playing for the New York Knicks, and especially helping them push through into a deep playoff run, that we haven't seen this franchise go on in quite some time. For me, this is really what it comes down to, and I think this is the thinking of the New York Knicks organization, at least how I think they should be thinking about this, because it really is risky to trade for a player who's injured right now, his numbers are down, and he's a smaller guard at 31 years old. Do the New York Knicks think that if they trade for Damian Lillard, they can win right now? If they think that they have the surrounding pieces around Dame to compete for the Eastern Conference and make a run at the finals, then the answer to this question should be yes, we should trade for Damian Lillard, because they have a lot of draft picks in the chamber and they have the players to maybe entice the Portland Trailblazers as well. Couple of things concern me about this, though. Damian Lillard's contract, it's only going to increase over the next couple of years, and we'll show you those dollar figures coming up. It's also the age and a little bit of the regression that we're seeing right now. Now, is the regression because Dame is getting older? Is it the changing of the basketball? Because a lot of high-volume scorers have complained about that. Is it that abdominal injury that hindered him and kind of cost him some time during the Olympic Games over the summer. All things that you have to think about looking forward as a business and as a sports franchise. Before we continue to break this down further, I have a question for you. And here at Chat Sports, we're all about the audience interaction. Would the Knicks be contenders with Damian Lillard on this team right now, considering they'd have to give up some pieces, maybe like an RJ Barrett? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Be sure to get those votes in the comment section right now. It's the holiday season. It's a perfect time to treat yourself or treat somebody who you really, really care about, thanks to our friends at Fanatics. And they have some wonderful deals going on with some awesome Knicks merchandise. A couple of hoodies available at chatsports.com/Knicks sale. This beanie is fresh as well. This pullover, it has producer Marshall Green written all over it. Really fresh, and all of these deals are available for some really hot prices. All you have to do is enter that link down below. It's chatsports.com/Knicks sale. You have to use that link down below so that Fanatics knows that Chat Sports sent you, and so that those deals apply. That link is going to be available in the comments section as well as the description of this video. Let's get back to the chatter about Damian Lillard's contract, because it's one of the largest in the NBA, and this is a concern for other teams across the NBA who are interested in trading for Dame, who, as soon as he crosses half court, when he's right, when he's feeling good, is a threat to score the basketball. This year he's on the hook for $39.3 million. That goes up to $42.5 million next year, followed by $45.6 million. And in 2025, that contract, this is base salary, by the way, goes up to $48.7 million. So Dame, when he is clicking, when he is right, when he plays like he did last year, when he put the team on his back like he's played in years past, when he is an offensive stud, is worth that price. But is he going to be worth that price of $48.7 million when he's a smaller guard? There's been some regression. There's now some injuries, and he's a smaller guy. You know, he's a smaller guy at 31 years old. So those are the concerns that I have for Damian Lillard's contract. Now, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, he's been all on top of this, right? The Knicks never made an offer for Damian Lillard over the summer. Now, Dame has been quoted in the past, and Stephen A. Smith now reporting over the last couple of days, that he's always been enticed by the idea of playing at MSG and putting on that Knicks uniform. But officially, according to Woj, and I put stock into that because is there a better reporter out there than Shams and Woj, the Knicks never made an offer for Damian Lillard this summer. I'll tell you this. I love Dame as a player. He's going to go down in NBA history as one of the best bucket getters that we've ever seen. He's a flamethrower. As soon as he crosses half court, he can find twine from anywhere on the floor. $48.7 million at 34 years old just concerns me a little bit. Now, it is up to the Knicks to do their due diligence. And if they think that Dame is going to age well, or if they think that the back end of that contract really doesn't matter and they trade for him now and that helps them compete, then it's all worth it at the end of the day. This is what I do know. I don't know about Dame's future. I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know how he ages. I do know this, that in professional sports right now, aggressive wins. Look across all four major sports. Organizations that go for it are usually the ones that end up on top at the end of the day. Of course, you have to be smart with your decisions, financially, mentally, fiscally, and all of that, but aggressive wins, and if the Knicks think that they can win right now, they might have to pull the trigger. As for Damian Lillard's numbers this year, is this a byproduct of him being hurt by that abdominal injury, or is this the regression that's starting right now? Again, smaller guard who plays in a physical league, and even if you're that small and you lose half a step, that's important for a guy who hits a lot of step backs, who relies on his athleticism to try to get to the rack. This year, only 21.5 points per game. He's not playing right now, a little less than 8 dimes. He's shooting around 40% from the floor and 30% from distance. He's never been a guy who lights the league on fire with efficiency from deep, but those numbers significantly down from last year, and they're some of the worst shooting numbers of his career. Here's a trade idea that we cooked up, thanks to producer Marshall Green, who you also see here on New York Knicks Now, and maybe you like him hosting this channel more than I. I'm just bringing you the information today. New York Knicks would receive Damian Lillard. The Portland Trailblazers would receive Evan Fournier, RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin, Nerlens Noel, and 2 first-rounders. Now, in order to make salaries match, the Trailblazers might have to move somebody as well. They might have to find a third team. They might send somebody to New York. But do you like this trade idea considering what the Knicks would get back and what they would have to give up? Type 1 for you like the trade idea. Type 2 for you don't. And if it's a 2 for no, like I said, it was Marshall's idea. As for the Knicks' upcoming schedule, 7th of December at San Antonio. They've been playing really good basketball of late, just lost to the Phoenix Suns by a couple of points. DeJounte Murray really balling out. It has been reported Shams, Woj at the Indiana Pacers are basically sellers. The Knicks get the Pacers, on the back end of that back-to-back. Then they go on the road against the Toronto Raptors. They host the Milwaukee Bucks. Then a really highly anticipated matchup against the Golden State Warriors on the 14th of December. A lot of these games, good litmus test to see where this Knicks team is right now without the services of Damian Lillard. So looking at that schedule, looking at this team, and basically putting everything into the current window that we talked about on today's show, will the Knicks make the playoffs? Type P for playoffs, type L for they're going to be in the lottery. Let's hope that's not the case because it wouldn't be good for the channel. Once again, sound off in the comment section, and thanks for watching New York Knicks Now.